Gerrymandering. That's what those rascally Republicans are up to now. Good morning. It's Sunday, July 27th, 2025. Now, the Trump has already given his rubber stamp of approval for Texas to redraw their voting districts, their map, so they can pick up 5 more seats in Congress. Now, DeSantis, grasping at straws, trying to stay relevant in the Republican Party, he's trying to do that in Florida too. Democrats, quit being mamby-pambies. Quit saying, well, we're thinking about doing that in Illinois, New Jersey, and California. No, you do it. If they do it, you do it. If they're taking steps to do it, you do it. Just do your crap legally. Because under Trump, they don't know how to do nothing legally. They all about being illegal. And stuff gets thrown out when it goes to court. Do it legally, but do it. The days when Michelle Obama, and I love her, and she was right at the time, when they go low, we go high, that don't work no more. And also don't work, like Joy Reid said in the interview about Democrats. Oh, they like, well, you wait, it's not your turn yet to step out and be about it. Bump that. Bump waiting for turns. You need to be about it. Get to stepping. Get to moving. Get a plan and follow through. Don't be waiting. Don't be a reactionary. Get out there and do something first. Let the Republicans start reacting. Just sitting around and waiting for your turn and all that ain't gonna work. If you like this message, hit that follow button. He once threatened 50%, but the taco caved and settled on 15%. Good morning. It's Monday, July 28th, 2025. Just yesterday, Trump, who's also known as Taco, which stands for Trump Always Chickens Out, well, he reached a trade deal on 15% tariffs with the European Union. I'll call them EU from here on out. He reached this deal with the leader of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Let's talk about this deal, including some lies. And we know who told those lies. 1. Trump desperately needed this deal. Why, you ask? Well, he wanted to change the narrative to distract Americans from what they're talking about, well, at least a majority of them, in their demand of the release of some certain documents. In the EU, they pretty much told Ursula, go in there and get a deal, because we're tired of the uncertainty that we have right now on transatlantic trade. Now, let's talk about some specifics of the deal. The 15% tariffs, that's going to be on cars, so you're going to continue to pay more if you're going to buy a European car. Computer chips, and pharmaceuticals. But don't forget, earlier in the year, Trump threatened 50% tariffs on EU goods. Then he dropped to 30%, then 20%. He finally did the taco move and dropped down to 15%. Now, there are certain items that both sides are going to charge 0% tariffs on. And that includes aircraft parts, some chemicals, semiconductors, certain agricultural products, and some natural resources and critical raw materials. So both sides will charge 0% on that second category. Let's talk about some lies. Trump stated that the EU was going to buy $750 billion worth of natural gas, oil, and nuclear fuel from America. That is true, because the EU wants to get away from so much of their reliance on Russian fuel. But later in the day yesterday, Ursula stated, yeah, we're going to do that $750 billion purchase. That's over 3 years. You see, the Trump, the way he stated it, well, he led you to believe it's going to be an immediate purchase. Trump also stated that the EU was going to invest $600 billion in America. True. Problem with that, though, didn't state where the investment was going to be. Trump stated that the 50%, that's 50, tariff on steel from the EU was going to remain, like it's set in stone. Ursula came back later in the day and straightened that out too. She stated that both sides had agreed to negotiate further on that 50% tariff on steel, so it's not set in stone. Finally, Trump stated that pharmaceuticals, they weren't part of the 15% tariffs. Ursula came out, corrected him on that too, and stated that yes, they are. That was agreed to on a separate piece of paper. Now, here's the problem with all of this. Well, there's a few problems. But the main one is now they have this agreement, but the countries who are part of the EU, well, they got to vote on it. They got to accept it. So there's really still up in the air kind of thing going on. And here's some reactions thus far from some people in Europe. This is the best one, I think. Karsten Bresky, he's the ING Bank global leader. He stated, well, nothing's in writing yet. Again, they got to vote on this, right? And German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase what he said. Well, there's so much uncertainty with the transatlantic trade. I'm glad we have a deal, but I wish it had been a bit better of a deal. So they're not too happy, I don't think. What do you all think about the deal? Is it good for us, for America, that you're going to be paying an additional 15% more? Because that tariffs, the companies, they ain't going to pay that. We are. You buy the goods. Don't forget that. So what do you think? What do you think about him going over there? I'm talking about Trump. Pretty much lying about some things. And then about Miss Ursula correcting him. I love that she corrected him. I love that it was a woman that corrected him. What do y'all think about that? Now let me end this video on a little tidbit, totally unrelated to the tariffs. Because it happened yesterday too. Bubba Wallace, I see you. You won the Brickyard 400, the first black driver to win a race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's talk about Indianapolis. That's in the state of Indiana. That's a very red state. They vote Republican. Something else about Indiana. Years ago, I think in the 1920s, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong on the dates, but the K, and the K, y'all know what I'm talking about. What organization I'm talking about. They were headquartered in Indiana. Grand Wizard and all. So, in NASCAR, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that a predominantly white sport? Meaning the participants and the fans? I know there's talk of trying to get some diversity and what have you, but it's still a predominantly white sport. And a black man just won first race in Indianapolis, Indiana. With all this anti-DEI, diversity and inclusion going on, all this hatred towards black and brown, a black man won a NASCAR race in the state that used to headquarter one of the most racist organizations in U.S. history. Y'all put that together. Let me know your thoughts on that. And Bubba, congratulations. If you like this video, hit that follow button. I appreciate your support. U.S. accepts a gift that will cost U.S. taxpayers $1 billion, that's what there'll be, dollars. Remember that flying palace? That airplane gift from Qatar? Well, just recently, Pete Hegseth, you know him, he signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, with the Qatar Minister of State for Defense Affairs. And basically that MOU is, it's for that plane. The U.S. formally accepts the plane as an unconditional gift, and get this, an as-is condition. There's no guarantee, no warranties, unless agreed to in future arrangements. So, future arrangements, is that leaving the door open for some future gifts, future arrangements? You let me know in the comments what you think on that part. Now, since we've got this MOU and we've accepted the gift, the Air Force can begin the retrofitting of the plane. And then, as it was reported earlier this year, more than likely, once it's done, it'll be used for a couple months, maybe a few months at most, and then transferred to the Trump's presidential library. Now, the retrofitting cost, they've classified that, but lawmakers have estimated it's going to be at least $1 billion, again with a B. Senator Chris Murphy, he says, hey, we're going to spend $1 billion to retrofit a plane that will be in use for only a few months. Doesn't sound like a wise use of taxpayer money. You think? What do you all think? Leave a comment. Now, questions about the deal. Well, they went to the Air Force. Air Force referred those questions to Hegseth. He in turn referred him back to the Air Force. It's like when you were a kid and you would ask your dad for something. He'd say, go ask your mama. You go ask your mama, and then she say, go ask your dad. Playing games with us, folks. They playing games with us. Now, Air Force Secretary Troy Mink, I think is how you say it, is M-E-I-N-K. That's how you spell his name. He said, well, to retrofit the plane, they were going to pull funds from the Sentinel program. That's the program that was set to replace aging nuclear missiles. But here's the problem with that. The Sentinel program is already over budget. They claim because, well, they're doing some restructuring. BS. So the plane, it came about because the Trump, MAGA, your daddy, he complained about the planes that are already in use right now because they were built in 1990. As a result, Boeing, they're under contract. They're building 2 Air Force One planes. That's not enough for the Trump because that would stay in possession of the U.S. government once he leaves office. He wanted his own flying palace. Looks like he got it on our dime. Now, the MOU, it had language in there, and it said, this is a donation. It's unconditional. And DOD, Department of Defense, under its sole discretion, can use or dispose of the plane as it sees fit. The MOU went on to say that nothing in the agreement is an offer, promise, acceptance, or bribery, or undue influence, or corrupt practice. This is really just a bona fide gift. BS on that too. Why'd they go to so much detail to put all that in there? Tell me it's not a bribe. It's because it is. You know it is. Just like when companies settle with someone and they'll say in the settlement, but company A doesn't admit any wrongdoing, but they settled, so you did something wrong. Yeah, I know attorneys will say, well, no, it's cheaper for us to settle, not to take the risk of going to trial. Yeah, you won't take that risk because there's something in there you did that was wrong, and you know that. So what do you all think about this flying palace? $1 billion. Oh, that's right. Didn't they just pass that big, beautiful bill? And they cut all that money from Medicaid? People won't have health insurance, so the Trump can fly in a flying palace. What do you think about that? Yeah. If you like this video, please hit that follow button. Good morning. Quick video. Please keep Hawaii in your thoughts and your prayers, and this is no joking matter. There was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake that hit in the Russian peninsula called Kamchatka. That has set off tsunami alerts for Russia, Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, heck, the whole western coast of America. Now, this area, Kamchatka, it had an earthquake in 1952 that resulted in 30-foot waves in Hawaii. And the earthquake that was just happened yesterday, 8.8, that's the largest earthquake, the biggest one since the one in northeast Japan in 2011, and that one was 9.0 magnitude. Japan's Meteorological Society has set off a tsunami alert. The National Weather Service here in America has set off a warning for Hawaii and parts of Alaska. The National Weather Service has issued an advisory for the entire West Coast from the California-Mexico border all the way up to the Alaska-British Columbia border. Now, according to Japan, the earthquake hit at about 8:25 their local time yesterday. And the first wave hit Nimuro in Japan, and it was 10 feet tall. Now, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes that first tsunami wave, that's not the biggest one. And the U.S. Geological Survey stated that, again, the earthquake was 8.8 magnitude, and it had a depth of 13 miles. Now, in case you're wondering, what are the different alerts that can be issued by the National Weather Service in regards to tsunamis? There's 4. The worst one is the warning. And again, that's the one issued for Hawaii and parts of Alaska. That's the most severe alert. You need to take action. A tsunami is possible, and it may cause widespread flooding. So if you're under this warning, please get to higher ground if at all possible, and do it expeditiously, like right away. The next level is an advisory. There's a potential for strong currents or waves, and they would be dangerous to those in or very near the water. Under that is a watch. It states to be prepared because there was a distant earthquake. It happened, and a tsunami is possible. The lowest level is an info statement. And it's weird that this article said, relax. That's what it means. Since an earthquake happened, but no threat, or it was very far away. Relax? I don't get that. But anyway, keep Hawaii in your prayers. And if you're on the West Coast, I'm praying for you too. If you like this video on current news, please hit that follow button. Good morning. Senate Democrats are trying to use an obscure measure to demand release of those documents, but will it work? The rule, which was created in 1928, is officially known as Section 2954, but is often referred to as the Rule of Five. That's because the way it works is 5 members on the Senate Committee of Homeland Security and Government Affairs, they send an information request to a federal agency, and they request information on materials that are within that Senate Committee's jurisdiction. This was done as reported yesterday, and this was sent to the Department of Justice and the FBI. It demanded all documents, files, evidence, and other materials related to, that person that used to be a friend of the Trump and who unalived themselves in 2019. This also included requests for information on the interview from last Thursday and Friday, when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. Senate says it's okay when they receive the information if it's redacted, but they want it by August 15th, 2025, or they would seek court intervention. Not sure how that would play out in the courts. I guess we'll have to wait and see if it gets that far. Now, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer stated that the reason they're going for this information is the Trump promised he would release this information when he campaigned for president last year, but he has since broken that promise. This rule has rarely been used. The last time the Rule of Five was used was in 2017, when Senate Democrats, they demanded leasing information on the old post office, because that later became a Trump hotel. Senate Democrats also used the Rule of Five in 2001 when they demanded information on the 2000 census records. Now, people want this information released, according to a YouGov poll. 82% of Americans surveyed in that poll, they said they want the information. Of that 82%, 91% were Democrats, 76% were Republicans. This is a recent poll. It was released on Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. So you guys leave me a comment or comments. What do you think? 1, do you want release of these documents? 2, do you think they'll be released? And 3, if released, is it going to be redacted so much that we still won't learn anything? Leave a comment and let me know. I appreciate the support, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that follow button. That helps me out quite a bit. I'm good at building things. We'll get it done quickly and on time. It'll be beautiful. Top of the line. That's the Trump describing a proposed, it's not proposed, I think they're going to do it, addition to part of the East Wing of the White House, a 90,000 square foot ballroom that can hold about 650 people. It turns out the Trump's been wanting to build a ballroom on the White House for quite some time, as in back when Obama was in office. He offered to build it then. It seems like he's finally getting the chance to do so. The cost? $200 million. $200 million. Now, supposedly the costs are going to be covered by donations from companies and individuals, including the Trump himself. Do you believe that? Or, that's right, that big beautiful tax bill, the Medicaid savings. Maybe kicking people off their health insurance saved enough money to afford this addition to the White House. What do you think? And if it is all donor money, what did these donors get in return? Is it more that pay so you can play? You know, that kind of crap that goes on in politics and on both parties, Democrats and Republicans. And if it is that pay so you can play, what did the donors get in return? Now, so far, there's 3 companies involved in the construction of this ballroom, which is supposed to start next month, September of 2025. But when the White House was asked, was competitive bidding involved to get those 3 contracts? Silence. White House had no comment. Also, supposedly, the ballroom is going to be finished in the building phase, that is, well before the end of Trump's current administration. Now, do you think it's going to look like the Mar-a-Lago ballrooms? Gold-plated this, you know, like a chandelier and chairs, all that good stuff. Do you think that's a little tacky? Is that the image that America wants to send out to the world? Gold-plated everything? And I'm going to ask that question. Is America great again yet? Y'all let me know your thoughts on this $200 million, 90,000 square foot ballroom to hold 650 people. Is that what we need to be focused on? Well, not even focused on, but just doing here in America? Y'all let me know that too. If you like this video, please hit that follow button. That helps me out immensely. I directed my team to fire that Biden political appointee immediately. That's the Trump, referring to Erica McIntyre. She was a 20-year federal government employee, and yes, former President Joe Biden did appoint her last year, 2024, to become the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. BLS for short. You see, BLS, they released the jobs report for last month, and it showed that America added 73,000 jobs. That was down from the month before, when the number was 147,000 jobs. This report also showed that unemployment ticked up to 4.2%. But the Trump, he stated the report was phony and that it was made to make the Republicans and himself look bad. No. Republicans, the Trump, you make yourselves look bad. You don't need any help. Now, before I get into that, let's talk about that report. You ever stop to think 2 things? Most presidents, Democrat or Republican, in my opinion, they fudge the numbers on that report a little bit. And sometimes they're caught. I believe Biden was caught doing that once. And 2, the report, is it really helpful? Does it tell you where these jobs are? What industry? Like, is it service jobs? Is it white collar, blue collar jobs? Is it jobs that pay minimum wage, a living wage? Or is the salary, is it 6 figures? Is it $100,000, $200,000 a year or more? Does it give you any of that information? So again, is it really helpful? Now, back to the Republicans and Trump looking bad and doing it themselves. The Trump, since you've been in office the second time, you fired federal government employees left and right. And yes, I know just about every former president has trimmed the federal government workforce. And I have no problem with that, if it's done using the rules and regulations set in place to do so. If the president doesn't go around just getting rid of federal government agencies, because supposedly, legally it is, well, that's Congress's job to do. They create agencies, and only they have the power to eliminate agencies. And then 2, Republicans, Trump, the tariffs. And tariffs are a tax. Don't get it twisted. Don't believe the lies. Also, don't believe that the country's making any money off these tariffs. The way that Trump has handled tariffs threatening 50%, 20%, 30%, going back and forth, changing his mind, saying it's going to go effect in 2 weeks, 90 days. Well, you know what that's done? Some of our trade partners, other countries that is, they don't want to trade with us anymore. Yeah. And if they do, and they have this higher tax, this higher tariff, companies here in America, well, one of two things happens. The company, if it can, it pays the higher tariff, higher tax, and it passes that cost on to us, the American consumer, who's already out here struggling with the higher prices. And now the prices are even higher because the tariffs, the tax is higher. Companies aren't going to absorb that higher fee. Or two, the companies go under, or in the very least they lay off their workforce. So fewer businesses out there, more people laid off. Well, unemployment, that ticks up, doesn't it? Fewer jobs are created, so that goes down. Because if a business is booming, if several businesses are booming, they need more people, so they hire more people. But if businesses are closing down, if they're laying off people, the jobs report numbers are going to go down. Makes sense, doesn't it? It does to me. And Republicans, you look bad because you're being complicit to the Trump. You're basically bending over and letting the Trump, well, I'll let you all figure that out, finish that off. What do you all think? Did you ever think about that jobs report like that? Do you believe the Republicans are being complicit to their daddy, the Trump? Now, I've said this time and time again. We've got to keep our eyes on the prize. Do not be distracted by this foolishness, mayhem, and debauchery put out by the 47th administration. The prize, well, it's twofold. It's the White House. We've got to get somebody back in the White House who actually loves America and will fight for America. For all of us, regardless of what we look like. Because the one in there now, in my opinion, not going to fight for us black and browns. Or even if you look like him, but you're not a billionaire, he's not going to fight for you. I think he's proven that thus far in these past 7 months. And the bigger part of the prize that we need to keep our eyes on, democracy. America was founded as a democracy. And in my opinion, it needs to stay a democracy. In my opinion, we should not be led by a would-be king who, again, this is all my opinion, is in failing health, who has crapped on himself in public. Ankles are swollen. There's been pictures of that. Cognitive decline. You remember some of his speeches. What do you all think? I'm giving you my opinions, but what's your opinion? If you like this video, hit that follow button. Join our community. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And I love reading your comments. You know why? For two reasons. It makes me realize I'm not the only one out here who thinks the way I do. But more importantly, you guys, you have different perspectives, different points of view, and you make me look at things a little differently. And I love that. I love learning from people. So what do you all think? Leave a comment. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.